Welcome to Board Game Empire. We're going to be showing you a brief overview and review of Gempire Zarmund's Demands. So it will be coming to Kickstarter. We're not sure of the date, but we will put the link in the description so you can follow that Kickstarter and check it out for yourself. So keep in mind this is the prototype that we're showing you. And I'm just going to briefly go over setup and how you play, and then we'll get into our review of it. And just a reminder, if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to our channel and feel free to leave any comments or questions. So we start out with each player gets a culture flag, a planning board. They don't start out with any cards, and you get your palace token, 6 cubes, and a dry erase marker. So basically, you are trying to win the game by meeting 2 of the 3 demands by King Zarmund, and you do this by basically achieving those goals. You can do this by taking advantage of the science board, where you can get the different technologies, purchasing cards from the market, upgrading your palace, and getting your palace rewards. Doing all these in a balance helps you to gain materials or gems faster, build up your city. So this is basically a city building, betting, bluffing game, economic game. There is lots of math in this game, so you may want to have a calculator ready, especially with the science board, because you're going to be calculating. You're going up and up the science, and then you're calculating the difference between what you've already spent and what you have left. And because you don't go backwards when you spend the science, it's meant to just keep going up as high as you can, and then you spend what's available on your technologies. And also on one of our Zarmund's demands was you had to have a minimum of 40, and you had to have 10 more science than every other player. So that's another reason you just keep going up, because there are things based on where you are on that science board.
The cards also make you do quite a bit of math, where you have to factor in like how many of the blue cards and multiplication throughout some of this stuff.
Right. So to set it up is very simple. You set up the 3 Zarmund's demands. There's several to choose from. In your first game, you're going to use 1, 2, and 3. But however, after that, you can choose from any of them, and there's quite a few. You're going to put out 5 technology cards. Each player puts 1 of their cubes at the bottom here to, when they gain science, they will be able to go up the science track. You have 3 market cards always available, where you buy your buildings to go into your city. You have your second row tokens, which allows you to build on the second row of your city. You either have to purchase that for 5 production, or there was a technology on ours that allowed us to do it for free. Then you can upgrade your palace up to 5 times, and you want to put these little tokens randomly in the palace rewards board. I guess I don't know what the technical name is, but and basically each time you upgrade your palace, you get whatever reward is there. And when you go up higher levels, you get that reward and any rewards below it again. So those can really add up. The rules for building your city are you have to have all 3 different cultures. Forget what they were calling them. 3 different colors. There's yellow, purple, and green. You have to have 1 of each at least on the bottom floor to be able to go to the second row. Once you have met that criteria, then you can either purchase the second row for 5 production, and then you can start building on both the second row and your bottom row. You're going to want to group them together, because each time you start a new group, especially on the bottom, and there's criteria on the cards. Some of them, if you have a card to the left or to the right, and they do not need to be adjacent. It's just, I think Anthony had one, if he had certain type of cards to his left, he got an additional population for each card or something like that. Like here's one. You get 3 population by default, but you get 1 population or 1 culture for 1 population for each culture building to the right of it. So those can really add up on your population.
There's 9.
Yeah, so and then you're going to be, at the beginning of each turn, you're going to be rolling these resource dice based on what's shown. So this one right here would be 3 science and 4 production. The little hammers are basically your coins that have hammers on them. Those are the money.
Yeah, currency.
And then the little beakers represent the science board. So if you have this roll, you can decide whether you want to. In the beginning, you're not going to have any resources, so no one's going to be purchasing from the market. So you would take 3 and 4. There's ways to manipulate that later in the game, but in the beginning, you're obviously going to be taking all those resources you can. But sometimes you're not going to be able to take all of them because in the beginning, your production level is 5 by default, so you can't have more than 5 of these until you have more of the green. For each green gem you obtain, you up it by 1. So in this instance, I had a total production of 10 because I had 5 additional gems, green gems, on top of that. So that each 10 population that you acquire from your market cards, you get a green gem. Same with the gold and same with the culture. That's how you obtain the gems for each multiples of 10 that you've obtained in your city. You will get an additional gem, and I'll go over those in a minute. So when you're placing your cards, you're going to be adding, they only count once they're placed in your city. You're going to be adding to your totals here of each time you add 1 or 2. You could buy all 3 cards if you want, and as long as you're going to be bidding possibly against other people, because after you roll the dice, everyone's going to secretly fill out their board. Either they're going to take resources, they can bid on, say if you're bidding on A, B, or C, and you have like 5 coins, you can do 2, 2, 1, or you can go 0 if you don't want to bid on that one. If you don't think anyone's bidding on it, you're going to want to bid the lowest. But if you think others might be bidding on it, you're going to maybe bid a little more. However, if you do lose on one, you still have to pay 1 resource even though you lost for each one that you bid on. Or if you want to upgrade your palace, you can just write palace and whatever level you're upgrading to. That's your 3 actions you can do. Either take resources, bid on biddings, or upgrade your city.
The palace level right here are the tokens. Once you upgrade it, you grab whatever palace level you are. That way you could keep track of what palace level you're
because
at.
they are cards that give you resources or either population, culture, gold based on what your palace level is. So you're just going to keep building in your city to gain the population, culture, and gold to try to obtain gems. Gems are very helpful. Like I said on the greens, those allow you to produce more, so you can hold more of these each round. The purple, the culture ones, allow you to get an advantage on finishing his demands. So you basically, as soon as you receive those, you have to choose 1, 2, or 3, represents 1, 2, and 3, which ones you want to place your crystals on, or on your own culture flag, but to help you. For instance, this one, you need to have at least 10 more science than every other player, but for each purple gem you have, you get +5 on your science total. So I had a +10 by default on top of whatever my total was, which allowed me to obtain this one. On this one, it's -1 card required to meet this one. So in a 3-player game, you need 10 cards in your second row. If you had crystals here, for each crystal you have, it's 1 less card you would need to have in your second row to obtain that. You can lose those if someone else beats you in that goal. They would get that card. The last one we had was have a sum of at least 13 gold and culture gems. So you need to have 13 total of those gems, the gold and culture, to be able to obtain that card. And for each crystal that you have, that's one less gem that you need to have to get that one. Again, you only have to complete 2 of them. So so that is the main goal of the game. And for each science you have, you can see these technology cards. On the bottom of them is the amount of science you would need to have to get that reward. So religion 1, it says you may hold up to 3 cards as blueprints. What blueprints are cards that you're saving and aren't ready to put in your city yet. Say it's got like a certain requirement on it that you haven't met, but you want to wait and be able to position your cards better before you play it. You just put it to the side, and this does not count towards your tallies here on your planning board. Once you play it, then you have that. You can only have 1 blueprint at a time unless you have the technology card that allows you to have more. We had one that allowed us to have up to 3 at a time, but honestly, we never really used the blueprint. We pretty much were just placing them every time, but that is an option, and if you have that technology, it allows you to have up to 3 of those. But once you've filled your slots, you can't put any more there until you've used that one. So this one, it costs 7 for the first person that does it. If it's done so every player in that round has the opportunity to also purchase that for 7 science. Any round after that, it would be 9. It goes up. But to keep it fair and balanced, all players have the opportunity to get it at the lowest price it is at that moment for that round. The next one we had was immediately build a second row for free. We both took advantage of that. It cost us 9 science. So that saved 5 production. We didn't do the philosophy. That one is when you reach 50 in any attribute.
Collect 3 culture gems and place them on a demand without any on it.
Yeah, so that's 3 of the purple. So you would be able to put 3 of those. That would be a good one.
Next one is agriculture. Palace upgrades cost 2 less productions.
That was very helpful. I got that later in the game because that one cost 23. So keep in mind I'd already spent 16. So I had to have 16 plus 23. So I had to have 39 before I could get that.
The university, when you reach 20, 40, 60, any attribute, gain a gem of that color.
Yeah, so if you spent 35 science and put your token on there, you'd be able to take advantage of that. And I really like the gems are really nice. It came in these little cool plastic containers. And then I need the last component I need to go over are the diamonds.
Wait, I want to go over one thing. Mm-hmm. When you do the palace upgrade, you also have to factor in that you obtain these, which will be extremely beneficial and could pretty much enhance your city way faster than your opponent. So you could skip the palace upgrade from 1 all the way. You could skip it and just do 9. And what it does is,
you mean 5? Go all the way up to 5.
Yeah, all the way to 5. Once you're at 5, we pretty much, if you put it this way, if you're at 4, you count all these plus the 4 down. If you're at 5, you could count that all the way down. So what you want to do is, what we figured out is go 1 at a time, because then you could double the pretty much bonus. This one is 1, so
for each little beaker on your card, you would get 1 science.
Yeah, and then this one's the best one.
Yeah, that one gave us 3 diamonds, and what those diamonds do, you have to place all these things immediately when you get them. If there's a diamond on the bottom of your card,
some will have 2.
You place it on it, and once you start placing them, you have to place the next one on an adjacent card. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're placing your cards in your city. You kind of want to bulk the diamonds together. However, if you can't, like I put one that has a beaker on it, you don't get anything for that, but it allows you to keep going to the cards that do have diamonds. And there are some that have 2 diamonds that will allow you to triple the amount you get. So once you place that diamond on here, you get that amount again added to it basically doubles it. Once on these with the 2 diamonds, it means you could put another one and you can actually triple it and add it to your tally here in your planner board.
I'll say that that's probably where she won, because I wasn't looking at the cards for the 2 diamonds. I was just playing, try and factor in the cards that work best next to each other, where she was looking more at the icons underneath the cards.
Yeah, so I will say palace upgrades are definitely a great way to go. And I did go one at a time. So each time I was getting the level I just leveled to and everything under it. And I got up to 4. So I got this one 4 times, that one 3 times. This one is nothing. Sometimes there's nothing. And then I got that one at the end. So it was definitely a great benefit to get those diamonds because I could quickly go up in my tallies. He focused a lot on building his city. So there's many ways you can go on this game. I think, did I cover most of it? I mean, that was a brief overview. This is a kind of a complex game to learn a little bit. Like the way we learned it, which I'm so thankful, the creator had a video on YouTube of him playing on Tabletopia with other creators. So he first explained the rules, and then they played. It's a long video. We didn't watch the whole thing. We just basically watched where he was teaching the game, and it helped tremendously to figure out this game. He has a great video out there. So it is a little complex to learn, but once you understand it, it does flow smoothly, and it's easy. I mean, once you get it, because you're just doing 3 actions. There's a choice of 1 of 3 actions each round that you can do. And mostly it's more about the bluffing and blind betting and hoping that you edge out your opponent when you are betting on these buildings in the market, and just using your resources. The one thing I didn't cover was on the yellow, what they do. So these allow you the gold allows you to basically create resources. So say this was the roll. I only have 3 of these. I could flip-flop these. Say I would rather have 5 resources. I could change that, not physically change it, but on my board, I can decide I want to use that as a production instead of science. So as long as when you have less gold than the amount of resources that are rolled, you can just mix and match them. However, normally you would have to just take it as it is, like you get 3 and 4. Once you have more gold than there are resources rolled, then you can actually create resources. So say I have 3 gems right here. There's 2 showing. My 3rd gold I could use to create an additional 1 resource of my choice. And the more gold you have, the more you can do that, which is kind of cool. As long as you have the capacity on production, if that's what you're producing, you can do that. Hopefully I explained that right. So did I miss anything? I mean, that was a very quick, brief overview, but that's the game in a nutshell. And they did include, this is really cool, this really cool dice tray. I thought that was a nice touch. But so what did you think of this game?
I really like the components illustration of this game. The little gems are really cool. The little beakers here, the marketplace, cards are nice and thick. So no issues shuffling and them being warped.
And this is a prototype.
Yeah, this is the prototype. I like the little blind betting, little board that you get. After a while, it does flatten. So at first, it's going to be a little bit where it, does its own thing. But really like the component aspect of the game. Oh, the dice are really nicely made, and you can see the icons very easily. Font's really easy to read, and there's enough spacing. So they pretty much, I'm guessing, did a lot of beta testing, and it just flows very smoothly. I really like the components. So as far as the mechanics, really good mechanics. A lot of strategy in this game. So much strategy that you could, different ways you could go in this game between, doing the first row, second row, also the way you set up your cards, going up the science track to get the technology, the marketplace, the palace upgrades. There's just so much you could do in this game. I really like the blind bidding. It works very well in this game. especially when you're trying to bet for the marketplace. Also, the dice, because this is it's not turn by turn; it's simultaneously. You're doing your the dice, so everyone pretty much gets resources from the dice that's rolled from each turn. So, just really like the mechanics. So as far as replayability, high replayability because there's just so much strategy in this game, and there's a lot of cards already. I can see this being played for a year and a half, and still not be bored with it because it's always going to be something different and new. And there's a lot more technology cards in the box as well. So high replayability. Overall total, I'm getting this like an 8.5. I think this is good. Might go up as we play because as we learn more strategy and kind of figure out more of the mechanics of the game, how to strategize against each other. So really phenomenal game. I think that this is going to be a lot of people's game that kind of like, I would say this is more on the like 3.5 complexity, 3.4. I think this is more of a very strategic game, a lot to micromanage and a lot of stuff you have to just factor in throughout each round. So 8.5 out of 10, really like this game.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this game too, but I will warn you, there's a lot of math in this game. So if you don't enjoy math and constantly adding, that I know there's people that don't enjoy that in games.
It's not just adding, multiplication as well.
Yeah, but there's constant adding. Like you're constantly updating your board. There is a lot of managing in this game. Constantly, when you're doing the technology, you're calculating there, major calculating in your city, especially when you get more and more cards that play on to each other. There's a lot of math there. So if you don't enjoy that type game where you're constantly calculating, you might not enjoy this so much, but we really enjoyed this game. It's challenging. It's very strategic. There's so many different ways that you can win in this game. But it's because there's you can focus more on the science in your city or the palace upgrades, a balance of each. I mean, in the end, you're just trying to obtain 2 of those demands. So however you can get there the fastest is the best strategy. And then, like he said, there's quite a bit of these demand cards to choose from, quite a bit of technologies to choose from. So it's always going to be different from game to game what the demands are. So that would change the strategy because the goals will be different.
Also the palace bonuses.
Right, the bonuses change. Those are random. So, I mean, there's a lot of factors that make this game really replayable. And again, the fact that this is just a prototype is very impressive. It's already, I think, a great looking game, and I'm always love the crystals and gems. Like maybe it's because I'm a girl, I don't know, but like I love any game with the gems. Just like I love it. So it's just overall, I think, a well balanced, fun game that we really enjoyed. But like he said, it is a little complex to learn, and so it is more of a midweight game. But again, most people that are really into Kickstarters I would think, are into your midweight games. So we don't know when it's coming to Kickstarter, but again, we're going to put the link in the description so you can follow it. I would definitely give this game an 8, and who knows if once I played it more and more, because we were only able to play it one time because it is a longer game. How did it take us? I don't remember.
15 minutes, maybe.
We didn't really keep track of the time, but it is a little bit of a longer game to play. But again, I wasn't bored at all. I enjoyed it, and it was like kind of nail biting because you're racing basically, especially near the end because you see others racking up.
Yeah, the last 3 rounds, you're gonna notice that you who's gonna try to go for what, and
right.
you're gonna try to outdo your opponent.
And it's easier to rack up these tallies because you're building on, especially with your cards, your diamonds, you're really building on faster later in the game. In the beginning, it's it's slow moving on those building those up. But it kind of like it just snowballs as you get later in the game. So everyone's just kind of getting closer and closer, and it's just like you're just trying to beat them out to get it. But I would highly recommend checking out this game. We really enjoyed it, and again, when it gets if you do back it, and when you receive it, I would watch a video on how to play it. It's much easier to digest that way, to see it rather than reading it, and then you just use the book, as a reference. That's what we did. So, do you have anything else you want to say?
No, great game. Highly recommend.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel if not already. Please give us a like. Share this video with your friends so they can check out this great game and maybe follow it on Kickstarter. We hope you really enjoyed, and this will help you decide whether this is a game to add to your collection. Thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you next time.